Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everything's going your way. Hope everybody survived the invasion of the ankle biters that we had on Thursday. Some of you had Halloween a little bit early because of weather. I know back in the Midwest, some of you had some pretty severe weather, and I guess there was some pretty severe weather in Oklahoma and Texas last night. Hope everybody's doing okay from after all of that. So, you know, wow, it is that season, and the storms are still brewing. But let's hope we get over this before the end of the month and be done for a while anyway. Before we get going, I wanted to give a shout out and say thank you to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media. Um, I'm just going to lay it straight. If you are even toying with the idea of a website, maybe setting up a web store so you can offer your products and services without paying commissions and without monthly maintenance fees or being charged just to upload a product onto some of these other sites, I would strongly suggest that you reach out to Steve. Just hit the link. There's a link to Harneal Media in every edited video and every live stream on this channel, and it's that way for a reason. But hit that link to Harneal Media, click on the contact us link, and shoot Steve a message. He'll talk with you, he'll work with you, he'll do as much or as little as you want or need for him to do. If you're real experienced with running and maintaining a website, he'll back off and let you have all the controls. If you're like me and don't know what you're doing and don't know an HTML from a MOUSE, he'll handle it. You can set up that web store and put your products and services out there and just deal with everything in house. He can also hook you up with a print on demand company that will help you to design merch, make your t-shirts, your baseball caps, your mouse pads, your coffee cups, whatever you're thinking about offering with your brand or logo up front. He's very, very reasonably priced for those of you who can speak, and he's very, very good at what he does. Um, do yourself a favor. You won't be sorry if you reach out to him. Steve over at Harneal Media. And again, there is a link to Harneal Media down in the description of this live stream and every other live stream and edited video on this channel. And it's that way for a reason. The reason is he gives you performance. He doesn't give you excuses. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you and I appreciate everything you do. Um, they say that November here in the US is Gratitude Month, and it ends at with Thanksgiving, the last Thursday of the month. And I don't necessarily believe that it ends there, but I have a lot of things to be thankful for and a lot of reasons to be thankful. I've been blessed in a lot of ways. And as evidence, I submit the video that I released yesterday. I didn't release one this morning because, as I said previously, I put my edited videos on hiatus starting November 1st and running through the holiday season because I have so many people to make things for. I can't take the time to stop what I'm doing for friends and family to put out a video. And I don't dare put out a video of the presents that I'm making for people because um it's a case of I know I'm not for everybody. I'm in a very niche market, and get in. Uh, So as a result, my friends and family, with one or two exceptions, don't watch a heck of a lot of my videos. However, they're not above doing a little bit of recon and hoping maybe I'll post a video about something that I'm making that's really cool that maybe one of them is going to get for the holidays. Well, for those who are doing that, I say you're wasting your time because I'm not posting any of that stuff. So, let me just go ahead and end those views right now. We'll see if my viewer count drops right at the moment. No, I won't be talking about it. But the video I released yesterday was an exception to the November 1st hiatus rule. And that was simply because I've been saving up and collecting up the footage for this video for a while. And that was the video where I first talked about, and yes, I'm going to say your name a few more times, um, Dwayne. He got on me for saying his name too much. But when he sent me this nut and bolt, I thought that was cool as heck. Now, I got to say, Dwayne, I have no idea how to display this. Simply because, do I display it like this? Do I display it like that? Do I set it, if I put it that way, I'm covering up the cool logo. I'll figure it out. I know, first world problems, right? So, but when I got this, I thought, man, that was really cool. And that was really fantastic. And I was really humbled that somebody would care enough about anything I've said or done to want to make something special like this for me. Because, I mean, you know, this is not small potatoes here. This is very cool. But then, with my knowledge, he said he wanted to do something for the end of the second season of my members only live streams. And then they came up with this, and it's just like holy underwear. I didn't get a I I didn't get super deep into what this was made of in the video because I thought it was kind of self-evident. But it's hard maple. The main body of the wrench is hard maple, and then this ratchet mechanism here is a bunch of different woods. The pawls for the ratchet are made of hard maple, and the frame of the ratchet assembly is hard maple with some 3D printed parts in here, the reverse cam and the switch. And then the ratchet ring itself is Jatoba, also known as Brazilian cherry. So it's real cool and it's absolutely gorgeous work. I mean, obviously there's some steel springs in here for the ratchet mechanism, but other than that, I think the screws and the steel springs are the only things in this that wasn't made by somebody within my channel membership. This cover plate and the upper plate for the ratchet mechanism are made out of Lexan. And just the design and the execution was just fantastic. And I mean, and yeah, it fits. It's all intolerance. Uh, and it's just cool as heck, you know. So and it just really it got me choked up. It was a real emotional thing. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not so proud of myself that I can't say, or full of myself that I can't say, yeah. I got a bit emotional about it, but you have to understand that kind of thing doesn't happen to me, and this is, this is what I mean about things to be thankful for, and just the way I've been blessed. And the only thing I can say is thank you to everybody. And there were a lot of people that were involved in this project. It was a logistical nightmare. I mean, parts were going all over the place. And they were talking about it, in our members only groups and this, that, and the other. And I did not get to include any footage from poor Michael Bernasconi. I felt so bad for him. About maybe an eighth of the way through this project, his machine broke down and he had to buy a complete Z-axis and replacement Z-axis for his machine. He got it. There were some problems evidently in the QC department of the company when they put it together. That had to be sent back and then make a new one and send it back to him. And it was a nightmare for him. So by the time he got the parts for Bull Shanigan's ranch made, it was so late, he couldn't take any footage. He was in the middle of a house remodel at the same time. It was just a mess for him. And I really felt sorry for him. But he never gave up. He never said, no, find somebody else to do this. I can't do it. He just, improvised, adapted, overcame, and got it done. And it's that kind of spirit that I like so much about the folks that are within my channel membership. Now, Nature's Live Edge is asking how many channel members there are. When I started this channel membership thing, as I said in the video, I thought if I got 10 members, I would consider it a success and I would keep going. We're currently sitting at just over 90 members, and I am totally blown away by it. They're a fantastic group of people that show their talent, skill, and artistry every day over on the Facebook group and in the Facebook live chat. And it's crazy that this many people care enough about anything I've ever said or done to A, want to become channel members, B, some of them, Sargon, for instance, was my very first channel member, and he's still a member and has been since day one. And the overwhelming majority of my channel members have been channel members for day one. And we're almost, not quite, almost halfway through season 3 of members only live streams. And I mean, Butch, thank you very much, channel member Butch. I'm blessed to have you. I mean, you guys make it worthwhile. You make the group, you make the membership. I said it before and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it as long as they let me say it. It's never been about me. It's always been about you. So, thank you for doing it. Yeah, Bob Heltebridal. Bob Heltebridal made the Jatoba socket ring. He ended up making 4 of these things before it was within tolerance. And he was having some issues getting his rotary axis aligned. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't been doing a lot on my rotary axis, is because I'm still getting that set up. You not only have elevation to worry about, you also have your linear alignment. And if you raise your tailstock just a little bit to get it in line with the headstock, you may throw this alignment off or this alignment off. So you've got a whole bunch of different dimensions to go. And when you're talking about rotating, if you're off a little bit, you can cut a taper because one is higher than the other, or you can cut a reverse taper I mean, you can just go any direction, and it's kind of hard to get within something acceptable, you know? So I'm still dialing mine in. I still got a pile of stock there in the back ready to get testing again. It's just getting going. I got to get on it. Uh, Nature's Live Edge just became a member. Thank you very much for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it. You're joining a great group of folks. Um, don't forget to go over to my community tab here on my YouTube channel, and that's where you'll find the link to all of the members only live streams. All of the past episodes are in a playlist and available to all channel members. We'll get further into it Monday or tomorrow evening during that live stream. I'll tell you a few more benefits to being a channel member. But man, it is it's a wild community. There are some wild folks and just some great folks to be around. They really, really are. Oh, and Pete, yeah, that's okay. All right, you go by Pete. Hello from Southern Oregon. Let's see. Somebody asked up here, and I wasn't quick enough on the star. Golfer 158. How do you become a channel member? If you look below this video panel, and I'm going by PC. I'm on a PC. I don't know what it looks like on a mobile device. So if you're on your phone or a tablet, it may be different. But down below this video panel somewhere, you'll see join. And that is a join button. And when you click on that, a panel is going to pop up and a video is going to play that'll tell you all about channel membership, of the different levels involved in this, that, and the other. You haven't joined anything yet, but from there, there is another join button that'll take you over to setting up which level you would like to become and all this and that and the other. Nothing is mandatory. It's 100% optional, and but you're very, very welcome to join. Again, we have a great group of people, and yeah, I'm proud to be. I'm just happy to be a part of it. I really am. Now, Mike Healy wants to know, was that bolt and wrench created on Vectric Software or something else? Now, that's a question for Dwayne. If you'd like to get into specifics, Dwayne, then I'll leave that to you. But I do know something about Dwayne's workflow, and if I'm not mistaken, it was designed in SketchUp Pro, and then the parts were imported into VCarve Pro, and then the cam was done after that. And I'm not sure what type of files Dwayne sent to the various people who wanted to take part in it. I know some of them, the 3D printed parts, were STL files, and I think there were some DXF files, or maybe another type of file. I'm not really sure, but yeah. When Dwayne first proposed this to me, I said, "Okay, but you're going to run it." And he's like, "Oh wow, I've never run anything like that." I'm like, "Well, I don't think it'd be right for me to run it, you know." So, but Oz Guzzy. Oh man, thank you. Welcome aboard. Great to have you as a channel member. Again, same to you. You're in with a fine group of people. I really appreciate it. And um, again, take a look at the community tab on my YouTube channel. And heck, I'll just bring it up. Bring it over here. I'll go to YouTube. And okay, just go to my YouTube channel and right here, click on the community tab and it will load up. Now I'm not going to scroll down simply because I don't want to make these links public, but from here you will see I posted a members only post. I posted 2 of them yesterday for the 2 different levels of channel members, but this is where you will find the links to the members only live streams. And all of the members only live streams are in a playlist, created playlist, and I got to find them. I got a bunch of different playlists here. One of these says members only. Well, it's up here somewhere. Yeah, we go. There are 128 videos in the members only playlist, and all of them are available to all members. So if you are the type that wants to go through that big of a playlist, there it is. We do not have a time limit on the members only live streams. We usually run anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours, but we have gone 3. So we just have a good time. And so welcome aboard to Oz and to Pete. So Butch Miller says, do we have to take a drink every time you mention Dwayne's name? No, no. You'd be on the floor. I mean, now. Yeah, you don't want to do that. In fact, Dwayne said something before I even released this video to members only. I sent it a link to Dwayne and to preview it and make sure that I got everything right. And he said, well, other than the fact that you mentioned my name way too often, it's pretty good. And I'm like, well, not only did you design it and ramrod this entire outfit and take all the logistical avenues that you took, you made about half of the parts. So, how can I not say your name? And he's like, well, okay. But yeah. Well, yeah, he was. Butch was referring to the IDC drinking game. I started that over there, but yeah, I knew it would come back to haunt me. And Dwayne says, you are correct, Mark. Design was in SketchUp Pro. Okay, I thought so. All parts were exported as STL files and imported into VCarve or into the print formats the guys needed. Yeah. That is true. There were a lot of disciplines because the channel membership is more than just CNC routers. I mean, these guys are wizards with lasers and with 3D printers. And there are so many different types of machines out there and rotary axes and all this other good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, they've been deep diving into the lasers and they're just killing me because I want a laser so bad. And I'm working on one in the background, but I mean, some of the stuff that they're making is just, I mean, wow. So, Ellen says, I need a lot to drink for the IDC. Yeah, so did I. So, Dwayne says the laser guys made their own files from submitted text. Yeah. And did you see how fast Sargon's laser was going? Oh my God. That was crazy. Wendell says, I was very impressed by the detail down to the cut foam with finger reliefs in the packing hard foam. Yeah. And not only that, I didn't really Dwayne said I mentioned his name too many times. But he also cut a custom box for it, and the wrench fit in there. Well, I got that backwards. The wrench fit in there, and then the box goes together, and that's how it was shipped. I mean, it's just the forward thinking, and it's one thing to make something. All right, great. Now, how am I going to ship this across the country? Well, you got to make a case for it. You have to make it form fit so nothing bounces around. Man, it's great stuff. So, Greg over at STL Woodworking, who is going to be my guest next week on the next Sunday live Q&A. That's something I was going to talk about a little bit later, but he's here, so I'll say it now. Greg is going to be my guest next week on the Sunday live Q&A. So I'll put a link to his channel. There isn't one in there right now, but I'll put it in. I'll put a link to his channel in the description of this live stream as soon as we're done. So that gives you a week to get over and binge watch his channel. So if you have any questions, answers, comments, complaints, demands for payment, he'll be here next week. Ain't that right, Greg? So, I just put a link. I just wrote myself a note to put a link down in the description of this video. Mike Healy said this would make a good video series teaching many types of skills. Mike, I'm here to tell you, you are preaching to the choir. You are preaching to the choir. I have been trying to get some of these guys to start YouTube channels since day one. Most of them don't want a thing to do with it. They don't want anything to do with YouTube. I've got a Facebook members only group, and half of them won't even join that. They don't want anything to do with social media. They don't want to be in front of or behind the camera. Getting that many people to send me pictures and footage while they were making this wrench was like pulling teeth. And in fact, I got the last footage. It was either in late August or early September. I got the very last footage, and I still didn't get some from a couple of people. So that's why you don't have documentation of the 100% builds for both wrenches. So, The Clack Shack says, did you say you needed a laser? No. What I said was I want a laser. But I also said I'm working on something in the background. So I do need a laser. I do want a laser, but I have something going on already with a company that shall remain nameless. And a lot of that is due to an agreement with said company. So this is going to sound egotistical, and there's no way else to say it. And I don't mean this as oh, look at me, ain't I all Mr. Hollywood, because that is far from the truth. I have turned down lasers from at least 9 companies, and it's simply because I can't accept it. I can't take it. So I am working on it, but it's not there yet. Okay. Through no fault of mine and no fault of theirs. But if somebody is thinking of offering, thank you, but I can't accept. So, Steve, on it as usual. STL Woodworking, there's Greg's channel right there. And again, I'll put a link down in the description of this video. So, it's going to be a fun time. And then, let's see, next week, that is I'll go ahead and get into it. What the heck? I was going to wait till later. Next week is November 10th. Greg from STL Woodworking is going to be my guest. And then the week after that, that is Sunday the 17th, Scott from M&S Woodworks is going to be my guest. And if you don't know who Scott is, he did a short series, 2-3 videos on a redneck's guide to V-carve inlays, which was one of the best documented inlay series that I have seen. And if you've not experienced M&S Woodworks videos, by all means, check them out, M&S Woodworking. And I love his style, his laid back, relaxed style. It just works for me. So, let's see. Paul Ribeiro. Hi, love your channel and I'm new to laser cutting. I don't own a laser. I recently bought a Monport 60-watt laser, but I'm struggling with the settings. I can be of no help. Again, I don't have a laser. Every time I try to cut, the laser keeps burning the wood. Need help. Some of my channel members who are here in the chat, and of course the camera is backwards, the chat over here alongside, they have lasers. They work with lasers. They are experts with lasers, and they can help you out. I have to say, however, Raul, Scott at M&S Woodworks, he just got a Monport laser not too long ago. I believe he has the 80 watt, maybe it's the 100 watt, I'm not sure. But yeah, it could be many, many, many things. So, Eric Girth says, I think a lot of people are intimidated by trying to make a quality video and the equipment involved. We just like to create. I'm 100% with you, Eric. It is a lot of work, and a lot of people complain about this. A lot of YouTubers complain about this. I do it because it's fun. I do it because it's a lot of fun for me. I go way back. I go back to the Super 8 film days with regular 8 and Super 8 movie cameras and editing film by cutting and splicing and then sending that off and having a copy print made of that you actually play, and then your master is worth its weight in gold, all of which were destroyed in a fire years ago when I was in my 20s, but what the heck. And so making videos to me is fun. A lot of the YouTubers complain about it takes 3 times as long to make a project if you stop the video. And that is often the case because you have to think about, can the camera see what I'm doing? Then you have to be able to put the camera in a position where it can see what you're doing. And I mean, that's why I built this. I mean, you see it in the background every once in a while. It's an overhead camera rig. That's my camera for focusing in down here on the CNC. But it's also an overhead camera that I can move back up here close to the front doors, and I shoot my intros and outros with that camera. It's out of my way. I don't have a big old huge tripod in here taking up space. And I've got a second small camera that I use handheld when I've got to do other things, or I can set up 2 camera angles. I also have that camera on an arm right there that I can swap around. And for instance, while we're live, if I want to show something on my CNC table, I can just do that. So there's nothing there right now, but other than, oh, Yes, the dedication plate for that wrench, which was made by Kurt and Jan Briegel over at Crafty Jan's LLC. You see them here in the chat all the time. So thank you for that, Kurt and Jan. You guys are awesome. So, Eyal Peleg is asking, how is the ceiling camera connected above? Very simply put, that's the best way to do it is with this. That's that black channel up there. That's a piece of Unistrut. And Unistrut is used for, a lot of electricians will use it to hang conduit from ceilings. I've seen plumbers use it to hang pipes from the ceiling. And you can see I have it suspended up there by those brackets that are screwed to that removable ceiling panel so I can get to the electrical cable up there that my lights are plugged into. And Unistrut has, well, there are a lot of companies that have made accessories, and I'll move it over here just so you can see. I don't remember if I made a video on this or not. But there are a bunch of companies that make accessories for Unistrut. And there we go. There's a little trolley right there that is meant to be for a, it's meant to be to bolt things to it, like, say a swing arm or a winch or something, that you can bolt to it. That thing will hold, it was like $25. It's got 4 roller bearings on each side of it. You can hang a barn door off of it. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. You can hang a barn door off of it. But each one, that thing will hold 600 pounds. And I've got a cheap, I don't even remember what that was. I think it's a desktop camera mount or monitor mount that had telescopic poles. I just cut out a little plate out of plywood, bolted it to that roller, and then bolted that monitor mount to that upside down. And now I can adjust that camera so it sits up higher or drops down lower. I put a ball mount on it so that it'll rotate all over the place. And it's just, I mean, there are accessories for this stuff that you would not believe. And I think the whole thing, I think the most expensive single piece was the piece of Unistrut channel. And that was, I bought at my local Home Depot, and I want to say it was $50, $40, something like that. But yeah, I mean, but it gets the, it gets the big tripod I had in here out of here, and floor space is a minimum, or is a premium here. So that was more than you needed to know. As far as people being afraid of making video, one thing I've learned is that people will forgive bad video because they understand. Most people have a cell phone and they've tried to shoot video of something, anything, whether it's a 2-year-old with a birthday cake or their dogs playing in the backyard or a parade going down the street. Most people have tried to shoot video. And they know that there's a lot to consider when you are shooting video. A lot of people just hate the editing process, and I appreciate that. My wife is a bagpiper. She's also a knitter, weaver, spinner. And she has a few videos up on her YouTube channel, not many. She loves the idea of doing video, but she does not want to edit. She doesn't want to learn how to edit. She doesn't want to get involved in editing. If she has a real important video that has to be done and posted on her channel, I'll do it, but she doesn't want me to take time away from this to do her videos. And I appreciate that. But Greg is preaching the gospel right here. People will forgive bad video. They will not forgive bad audio. If you have loud music, if you have a mic that cuts out, if you have a lot of background noise, some background noise is going to happen. You can't stop planes flying overhead. You can't stop a dog 3 yards away from barking. You can't stop a siren out on a highway. So background noise is going to happen. It's how you deal with that that makes or breaks a video. So if you have good, clear audio on your video, you can have less than stellar video. People will forgive that. But they will also forgive less than stellar editing. I can't edit to save my life. I like to do it. I think it's fun, but I'm not really that good at it. I just do it, you know? Yeah, a screaming end mill. That's another one. I take all tool noises out of my videos. I don't want to listen to it in here all day, then hear it in a video, you know? So, Mike, I have tried. She refuses. She refuses. I don't know why. I don't know why. She refuses. It seems to me real funny that she'll play in front of an entire group of people walking down Main Street in a parade, but she won't let me use audio for an intro or something like that. So, hey, what can I say? I'm not supposed to understand, I guess. But so, does anybody have any questions at all about the wrench or any other? Um, the, the, if you want to know about YouTube, we can talk about that. If you have any questions at all, um, I don't remember if this was on the public side or if this was on the members only side last week, but I mentioned Canary wood, and somebody asked me what Canary wood. Never heard of it, never seen it. This comes from a longtime channel member, my first channel member, and longtime friend of this channel, Sargon Tavur, down in Orange County, California. He made a bunch of plaques for a big brand, and some of them were miscut, some of them were misengraved, or there were issues with some of them. And he's got so much stuff lying around his shop. He says, "Do you want to try some canary wood?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so he sent me a bunch of these. And this dark wood here is wenge. This yellow is canary wood. And of course, I had to mill all the engraving and profiles and stuff like that out of it. But that is canary wood. It's got a real yellow cast to it. And this camera doesn't do it justice. But it, grain wise, it looks like a combination of maple and beech. It's got a little bit of an open grain pattern to it, but it has that maple look in that if you look real close at maple, it almost looks pixelized, the grain patterns, like little grain patterns like this. It if you get in there real close and look, it almost looks pixelized, and this does the same. It's I've had limited experience with it. It looks cool, but I like working it so far. So yeah, canary wood, very cool wood to play around with. So, um, oh, Linda says because in a parade I can get away from them. True, they're not going to chase you down the road, although they might, I guess. So, let's see here. So, yeah, she does watch. She does watch. Let's see. Eric Girth says, quick question. Can you carve bamboo cutting boards? You can. I haven't. I have a couple of bamboo cutting boards that I went ahead and paid a buck or two at a thrift shop for that I'm going to be eventually cutting just to experiment. And I don't have a philosophical issue with carving up something that was pretty much destined to head for the landfill. So rather than go down and buy a few cutting boards and then make a total mess out of them, I'll go pick up a couple at a thrift shop that have been hanging around for a while and they're getting ready to pull them and throw them away. So I will report back later on it. But I have seen other people cut bamboo cutting boards. I know the laser folks do like to laser engrave on bamboo cutting boards for several reasons. Number one, they're fairly inexpensive to buy, especially in bulk. Two, they laser engrave nicely. And three, there is, it depends on the project, but there is a lot of revenue to be made from them, potentially, if you're doing the right kind of custom, and that's the operative word in the phrase, custom projects with them. And I don't think I'm giving away any secrets when I say a lot of folks have a recipe card from grandma, be it their favorite chocolate chip cookie or their secret sweet potato pie recipe in grandma's handwriting that they want to copy and then laser engrave on a cutting board. And bamboo cutting boards are excellent for this because it's never going to be used as a cutting board um, because it's decoration for the kitchen. So there is less of a demand to use 100% food safe finishes on it. Now you still can for sure. A lot of people use Odie's oil or just mineral oil and beeswax and what have you. But you can go ahead and use a film finish. And Kurt is the person that I was thinking of when I started bringing this up. He do a lot of recipes to engrave for others onto bamboo. It is it's a good substrate for that. It's the perfect material for it. So um, that gets into another subject. A lot of people ask about practice materials. I jump on my local Craigslist and get into the free section and look for woods that people are throwing away. You'll find a lot of old broken fence boards. You'll find a lot of scrap wood that people just have floating around that they're trying to get rid of. And I don't have a problem, again, cutting up something that was destined for the landfill. So I I'll go get it. And you never know what you're going to find. I scored a bunch of solid cherry cabinet doors from somebody that was doing a kitchen remodel and they wanted to change the style of the door that they had in their kitchen. And I ended up scoring, I think it was 14 or 16, I don't remember, cherry cabinet doors. I still have one and nice solid cherry that I'll use for various projects. It's great and it's free. So, but yeah, I have cut up more fence boards, practicing a technique, and I'm getting ready to do some more. It's a great place to find free project material that otherwise would just go to the landfill. And I have no problem cutting it up and sending it off to the burn barrel. So, Bill Coleman says bamboo carves like very soft wood. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. So that generally speaking means there's going to be a lot of tear out, but not necessarily. I'll find out because, like I said, I've got a couple of $1 bamboo cutting boards that I'm going to mount to the CNC and just give it a good go. I'll try V carving, pocketing, and profile cutting and see what happens. So, okay, are there any questions at all about Vectric Software, wrench video, you know, anything? Any questions, any answers, any rags, any bones, any bottles today? Um, to the group, what's the largest 3D file you've made? Did a family portrait. Finishing toolpath was 25 hours, 4 million lines of code. Turned out great. I think the longest 3D carve I did was like 14 hours. And I don't remember how many lines of code it was. But that was also on the old Gatton CNC. The rapids were a lot slower. My feed rates were quite a bit slower simply because it wasn't as rigid as this beast is. Don't get me wrong, it was still a good machine and it did everything I asked it to do. I just had to, you know, take my time. But I didn't do it, but I have heard of one guy, I want to say his name was Kim Mortensen. He's on Facebook in a couple of the groups that I'm in. I may have gotten that name wrong. He's over in Europe and he works for a company that uses CNC routing in the business. And he was talking about his longest file. The carve time was 54 hours, and there were over 25 million lines of code that they had to break up because they couldn't run it when there was nobody at the shop. But they had to break it up over the course of several days to finish this carve. And my question was, how do you charge for that? How do you charge for something that big, that takes that much time? Because you're dedicating one machine to one project. 54 hours, you know, even if you did broke it up into 10-hour days and you stayed for 10 hours and it ran during lunch with somebody else watching it, that's still basically about a week. Wow. I mean, how do you charge for that? So, oh man. Um, Ray Russell Sr., did you get the email I sent about the tombstones? Yes. I just need to be able to sit down and answer it. Yes, I did. My questions to you were about finishing. And maybe I'll ask tomorrow at the members only live stream. So, Mike Keeley said, I was wondering if the software or control software has a limit. That for asking about the 4 million lines of code and the biggest 3D file anybody has made. I don't know that I don't know that the software has a limit. I don't think the controller software has a limit. What would have a limit would be your machine. In that, if you're running a trim router, for instance, you have a CNC that doesn't have a spindle, is that going to heat up that router so much that it burns it out? Because you got to remember, my first CNC router, I ran a Porter Cable 890 series router. And although Porter Cable is a good brand of router, they were not designed and not built to be run that long. Routers were designed to be turned on, run for a little bit to profile an edge or, make whatever cuts, and then shut off and set aside and let cool down for an hour, or at least set aside for a few minutes to cool down. They were not designed to run that long. A spindle, on the other hand, was. But as Sargon says, I would worry more about a machine limit. Is the PC you're using well cooled? Is the controller well cooled? Was it, there's a lot of factors. I mean, I refuse to leave this machine alone while it's cutting. So, is this something that you're going to break up over the course of several days? And you can do it. It's called tape splitting. You can break up the G code into chunks, separate files that you can run this one day, this one for another day, this one for another day. That can be done. Or, you just stay up with it. But I refuse to leave it alone. So, but yeah, I'm with Sargon. I would be more concerned with how the machine reacts to be running that long, because let's face it, we got to do maintenance on it. You got to keep everything lubricated. You got to keep things cleaned up and cleaned out. Mike says, when using a spindle, the bit was cold to the touch. I was amazed. Then you have it set right. You, as Kurt says, and I agree 100%. If your bit is cool like that, you've got your speeds and feeds dialed in. Yep, you're right. You're at 100% correct. If your machine is cool to the touch, you should be able to, when that spindle shuts off, and you can take that bit out, you should be able to loosen that collet nut, pull that bit out, and comfortably hold it in your hand. If it's hot, your spindle RPM is too high, your feed rate is too low, or a combination of the two. One of those two is going on. Heat is the enemy. It'll kill a bit faster than you can say boo. So if your bit was cool to the touch, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. Let's see here. Bruce Malmstrom says, looking for a good place to purchase hardwood. Rockler and Woodcraft is very limited to size. Yes, and that's because wood is expensive to ship. My best advice, and what I tell everybody, is to do a Google search for hardwoods, all one word, hardwoods, and your postal code or zip code. And just do a Google search for that. Yes, you're going to find a few hardwood flooring suppliers, but you should find hardwood suppliers, maybe some that you don't even know about, in your local area. Now, that's not true everywhere. Some of us live so far out in the sticks, we don't have sidewalks to roll up at night, But you should still find something in your area or nearby your area. I used the zip code for the next big town over, Medford, Oregon, and I found 2 hardwood suppliers that weren't even listed in the old phone book. I have 1, 2, 3 that I can name that are within 10 miles of me, and go check them out. Some of them supply wholesale for like cabinet shops or what have you, but almost all of them do have um, retail pricing, and you pay by the board foot. Now it's a weird thing depending upon where you are. I can go in and I can get some exotics for cheaper than I can get domestic hardwoods. For instance, I can get purple heart for cheaper than I can get black walnut. And black walnut is grown here in the US, but it all grows east of the Mississippi and has to be shipped here. Purple heart, I'm between Portland and Seattle to the north, San Francisco and Los Angeles to the south, and I'm right off an interstate highway. It's got to go past me. So it comes right off the boats and right here. I can get Purple Heart, a lot of South American woods, cheaper than I can get some domestic hardwoods. So, Jack Matson, you rule, my friend. Thank you so much for the super chat. I truly, truly appreciate it. More than you'll know. So, looking for black walnut and maple, I would shop locally. I would start locally, search for hardwoods, and then your postal or zip code. I don't know where you are, Bruce, but I have one supplier that I use mainly. In fact, when I'm there, I tell them I don't consider them a supplier. I consider them my offsite storage, and I don't pay the storage fee until I go pick it up. But I can go there and I can get up to, I think the thickest I have found is 16-quarter lumber, which is like 4-inch thick, hardwoods, and you pay by the board foot. They will cut off, like if they have a 12-foot long sapele board that I want 8 foot of that 12-foot board. They'll cut it off for me and sell it to me. They'll cut it by the linear foot, but they sell it by the board foot. And they have what they call their drop pallet. And that pallet has all the small pieces that are too short to be put in their main display. And so I picked up a lot of stuff off of those pallets. And they sell it by the board foot. And it's, I won't say it's cheap because some of this stuff is pretty expensive. But, you know, it's lumber is expensive to ship. And while you may get a good per board foot price ordering it online, there's a lot to be said for being able to go into a section of walnut and rummaging through and going, yeah, I want this piece. I want this board. So IL Peleg says 16 quarters. Why not 32/8? Your counting ways is a mystery. Okay. This goes back to the lumber milling days. Okay. And it's an old system, but it's standardized and it's one everybody knows. When they are milling timber, they cut down the tree, bring the log into the mill. They mill timber in fractions of 1/4 inch. Okay. So a 1-inch thick piece of material is 4/4. 2-inch is 8/4. 3-inch is 12/4. 16/4, 4-inch, you get it. So they measure it in quarters of an inch and sell it in quarters of an inch. because there is a variation. It depends upon the curve of the blade. Is it being cut on a bandsaw? Is it being cut on a circular saw? Is it what is the curve of that blade? Is there any blade drift? Was that blade perfectly tracking true and straight, or does it do like this? You know, when you go to buy, and also, is it rough cut or is it surface two sides? Rough cut 4/4 material is generally speaking right around an inch thick. It may be a little bit less, it may be a little bit more. It just depends because there are variations. If it's S2S, meaning surfaced two sides, that's going to be the top and bottom if it's been run through a planer. That 4/4 material, it's still 4/4, but it's not quite an inch thick. It may be 15/16, it may be 13/16, but it was cut 4/4. Generally speaking, it's gonna be 15/16, maybe 7/8 of an inch, but it's still 4/4. 3/4 inch lumber, which is standard here, is 4/4 lumber, but it's been finished down to 3/4 of an inch thick. And even then, it may be a little more or a little less. It's just the way it's always been. It is, and I'm in softwood lumber country. I've got a plywood mill. Well, the veneer mill for the plywood mill is, I could almost throw a rock through the front window. It's like a half mile down the road. Um, that's just the way we think of that stuff. And that's the way it is with timber. It's the way it is with lumber, you know. And the thing is, you can't call it a bloody inch because it may be more or less, but it's 4/4. So, and 8 center AL, don't blame me for this. Blame the British, as usual. I got you, Nova. Nova's asking, when VCarve Pro project needs to have Z0 reference for both the machine bed and the machine surface, do you typically set up different sheets for the respective tool paths? The answer is yes. That's exactly what I do. Yes, that's the short answer. The long answer is, and I don't know how you didn't see this coming, really. I did a video on that this spring, I believe. And let's see, it's machine bed or material surface. I just wrote myself a note to include a link to that video down in the description box of this video. And basically put, that's exactly what it is. There's only one exception, and I talk about that in the video, and that is if you're doing a two-sided job. Let me go ahead and bring Aspire into this, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. We go into job setup. If you're doing a double-sided job, you have an option of setting your Z0 position, zeroing off the same side. So if I want to set my Z0 to the material surface, but zero off of the same side, what that means is on the top side, you're going to set your Z0 on the material surface. When you flip it over to do the bottom side, you're going to set your Z0 to your machine bed. So this is the only exception to that rule. So, but if it's a single-sided job, and for some of the tool paths, you want to set it to the material surface, and others you want to do the machine bed, you'll do exactly what you were saying. You'll I have that set to the machine, to the material surface. You'll come over, create a new sheet, add new. We'll just call it sheet 2. Then with sheet 2 highlighted here, no, quit it. I'll go to edit. And for this one only, I'll set it to the machine bed. Click OK. So this sheet, Z0 is set to the machine bed. And this sheet, it's set to the material surface. But yes, that's exactly right. So, and there's Steve, right on it again. There is the machine bed versus material surface video, and I will put a link down in the description of this video as soon as we're done live here. So, let's see here. 8 center seems like a way of ripping people off, to be honest. And this is the whole 4/4. Not really, because more often than not, it's overage. So if you buy 4/4 rough sawn lumber, it's usually a little thicker than 1 inch because they know you're going to have to surface that down. So it'll be just slightly a little bit more than 1 inch thick, knowing you're going to surface it. And I'm talking about maybe a 1/16 of an inch over. And it's an accepted nominal thickness. There was this was, I want to say 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. Somebody actually tried to sue Home Depot because the 2x4 they bought at Home Depot wasn't actually 2 inches by 4 inches. It's 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And they tried to sue for false advertising. It was thrown out of court because that is a nominal thickness and width. And it's understood the industry standard is when that was cut, it was 2 inches by 4 inches. Then it was planed, it was straight edged, it was machined and sanded, and that's what is left. If you go into any wood supplier here or lumber yard here in the US for a 2x4, they will not be 2 inches thick and they will not be 4 inches wide. But that's understood because that is a nominal thickness. It's no different than buying a V-bit. When you buy a 90-degree V-bit, that 90 degrees is nominal. If you check it, it may be 89 degrees, 87 degrees, 91 degrees. 93 degrees. It's a nominal 90 degrees, and they have a tolerance that they operate to. It's more because 2x4 is easier to say than 1.5 by 3.5. You know? Yvonne Langevin. Butchering names is my thing, but I apologize. How do you do it if you have an old version of VCarve with no sheets? You make separate files. And that's why sheets were created, was to keep you from having to make so many files. When they first came out with sheets, I thought, okay, that's cool, but when am I ever going to use it? Silly me. The very first project I designed was a very small shelf unit for my wife for teacups and her tea jars and things like that. But it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, all of different sizes, of different shapes. That would have been 7 separate files. But I was able to create sheets and I didn't have to make separate files. And all of these files were of different sizes. The parts were different sizes and different thicknesses. So, you know, but basically the short answer is you have to make separate files. So, let's see here. Just an idea. Start with 2.5 by 4.5 and plane it to 2 by 4 and sell it as 2 by 4, but maybe that's just my own weird thinking. Well, sure, you could do that. You very well could do that. But now you're getting fewer pieces out of the same tree. They used to make them 2 by 3, but that's the building code won't allow that anymore because they're just not strong enough. That you can't use it for structure. You can use it for other things, but most places don't even sell 2 by 3s anymore. So you end up getting fewer pieces of wood out of the same tree. So you're cutting down more trees to get the same amount of lumber or the same number of pieces of lumber. So there are compromises everywhere, but it's understood that, well, think of it. If you go to buy a loaf of bread, how much does that loaf weigh? And how sure can they be? Because remember, wood's a natural product, same as bread out of the oven. It's a natural product. How sure can they be that this loaf weighs the same as this loaf, which weighs the same as this loaf? They can't. There has to be a tolerance in there. So, you know, what can I say? That's just the way it is. I, you know, okay, here we go. Question from Jim Brown. Is there a way to change the orders of the layers that are in the layers tab? Yes. Yes, there is. Let's jump over here. And I'll jump into the layers tab and I'll add a new layer, call it layer 2. Add a new layer, call it layer 3. Add a new layer, call it layer 4. Here in the layers tab, you can tell which layer is active because it's, nope, don't do that. The active layer is in bold. These three are not bold. This one is in bold. That's the layer that is selected. Okay. I can move it up or down here. So I can order it this way, move that one up, and I'm going to move this one down. And those two, I just want to reverse the order. So I'll take that one to the bottom and move that one up there. There. That's how you can change them around. That's how you can change them around. So, but yes. Let's see here. As for the bread, that's why they invented a baker's dozen. Yeah, but that doesn't really come into it when you're buying one loaf of bread. So my point is, evaporation is going to be different on this loaf. The density of um, the dry ingredients is going to be different on this loaf. And there's no real way to control all of that to guarantee that each and every loaf that comes out of the oven is going to be exactly the same weight. So, because it's a natural product with natural processes that occur. Now, you're talking about gold bars. I'm sure they're very tight tolerances. But another difference is they can weigh a gold bar, and if it's slightly over, they can trim a little bit or sand a little bit or polish a little bit off and reclaim the gold that they've removed and incorporate it into another bar down the road. If it's underweight, they can melt it down and start over by adding more gold. So you can't do that really with a tree, because once it's cut, it's cut. You can't melt down a 2x4 and make it wider or longer, you know. So if you could make 2x4s longer, of course you can't. Well, no, you can't. You just got to cut them the right way. Trust me, I've cut it 3 times and it's still too short. You know, I don't know. I get you. If you look at 18 millimeter plywood, it's not 18 millimeters thick either. But we say 18 millimeter just simply because it's easier than saying 18.1231415. So we say 3/4 inch plywood, knowing full well that it's not 3/4 of an inch thick. It's usually a 32nds of an inch under 3/4 of an inch thick, but that's okay. We say 3/4 just because. We say 3/4 inch Baltic birch here. And unless we bought it from a US manufacturer, it's not 3/4 of an inch. It's 18 millimeters thick, which is actually closer to 11/16 than it is to 3/4. What can I say? So, all righty. I'm going to get out of timber industry talk and let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think I got everybody's question. Yeah, yes, that was, I arbitrarily used, and it's not actually 31415. I just threw that out there. A, I figured the right people would get it. And B, people who don't get it, it didn't matter. It's just arbitrary numbers. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up tomorrow. Members only live stream, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. We're going to get into the two-sided project that I didn't get to last week. We ran out of time, and I'm going to start a two-sided project from scratch, and we'll start at ground zero and move up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you would like information on becoming a channel member, just again, hit that little join button down below. A panel's going to pop up, video's going to play, tell you all about channel membership, the different levels and what have you. And you're not actually joining. You're just checking it out and getting information on it. We'd love to have you. We got a great group of people. Yesterday's video is evidence of that. And we'd love to have you join. Next week, again, Greg from STL Woodworking is going to be my guest. If you're on Facebook and you follow me, or you're my friend on Facebook, you're going to see me start spamming promos and tagging Greg and all kinds of weird, goofy stuff. And it'll be that way for a reason. Other than that, again, there won't be any edited videos until well after the new year. We've put Halloween behind us. This is getting into our playoffs and Super Bowl season. It's getting close to crunch time. The Big C holiday is coming, and we all know what that means. The scramble is on and the struggle is real. So Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I'm blessed to have the best viewers and channel members on YouTube, and there's no place I'd rather be. So, from my house to yours, thank you very much. Now, go do something cool. Get out in the shop, clean up the chips you've already made, and prepare to make more. It's getting close to crunch time. Have a great day, and y'all take care.